And we are live on the Bullpen Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Krogman, at ShyBears1985 on the Twitter machine. And my co-host, Adam Kunos, is at Kunos19. You can find the podcast at the Bullpen Pod. 2 E's. We are sponsored by Fanatics. Head on over to fanatics.com. You can use the link in our Twitter on our Twitter page through our link tree to find our Fanatics link, along with the link to all of our YouTube and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that fun shit. Like, subscribe, feedback, give us comments. We'd love to hear it. So we are 1 week and a day away from opening day of the 2022 season. Adam, how are you feeling tonight, my friend?
I am doing good. I got the new Sox fleece in. Opening day is a week away. I mean, it felt like 4 weeks ago we weren't going to have a season. Now, 3 weeks later, we're a week away from a baseball season. So just how much this changes in just a quick span of a month. But, Chris, I am doing good. It's a beautiful day here in Florida, evening now. Weather's nice, so I'm looking forward to next week, opening day, and I'm ready to get rolling.
Yeah, and it's been a nice few days here in Denver as well. We had 2 70-degree days over the weekend. It chilled out a couple degrees the last 2 days. First 2 days of the week, it was like in the 50s and 60s, but it was a nice day today. So weather's warming up, which means baseball is ready. We are wrapping up spring training, which was very abbreviated so that we could get this opening day going, get 162 games in. I'm just like beyond excited because I have so many things going on that like I haven't been able to pay that close attention to all of the spring training phenomenons, but there's been some crazy scores. I've seen like the Mets won 10-0 today. I think the Cardinals put up like 28 runs or something bananas today. So that's been interesting. But like full-time starters are getting a lot of work because they need to get ready for the regular season. What kind of final thoughts do you have on spring training, Adam?
I mean, it's weird that it's just ending so quickly. Like you said, I think we were like, 3 weeks ago, we just started spring training. Players report on a Sunday right after the blackout officially ended and it was verified. And like you said, crazy scores. I have a friend who lives close by who's a now Guardians fans who said that the Rangers and Indians combined for a football score of 15-10. It's just some of these scores are just crazy, but I'm loving that I'm getting all this baseball news back to my phone. I wake up, I'm scrolling through my phone, notifications overnight. I'm seeing more baseball news in the morning, catch up on scores, injuries. We got some feel-good stories going into this season, I think, especially one we'll talk about here in a couple minutes with a player returning home. Kind of the theme we've seen for the offseason. We're seeing a lot of players return to their first teams or their teams of origins that they started out with. So, I mean, opening day is going to be fun. I mean, next Thursday is just going to be so much fun in regards to just live baseball returns again.
Yeah. We'll go over exactly who is playing and whatnot next week on opening day, Thursday. And then there's games, obviously, that kick off on the weekend or series that kick off on Friday. So we'll touch on all of that next week, but it is still the remaining couple days of spring training. Teams are probably breaking camp pretty soon if they haven't already, to get back and get ready for next week. Yeah. So who is returning home, Adam? I don't really know what you're alluding to.
All right, so Albert Pujols signed a one-year deal to return to the St. Louis Cardinals. So Pujols has reunited with Yadier Molina and Adam Wainwright, that team that won the championship back in 2011. The three members remain from that squad are back together in St. Louis. But the most important thing to know about this, Pujols will not be an everyday player. he'll be more of a role player that's like coming off the bench player. So you'll probably see him more in the DH slot. He may play a couple games at first base, but he's going to be more of a role player with the Cardinals. And if you kind of read the tea leaves, however you want to look into the future, could this be a way that the Cardinals send off Molina, Wainwright, and Pujols at the end of the season, where they all just end their careers at the same time in St. Louis? I mean, it's a possibility, but Pujols is back in St. Louis. He got a standing ovation when he returned to Cardinals training camp last week. He just walked down the right field line to the fans, saluted the fans, his players, had a good emotional return to the dugout. Got his first hit with the Cardinals today in his first spring game with the Cardinals. So what do you think, Chris? Pujols back in St. Louis. Do you like it? Do you hate it? What are your thoughts?
I was wondering why I had seen those three players walking around with canes, and I was like, oh, yeah, they're just old. But those were actually baseball bats that they were walking around with. What do I think of it? Pujols is he's incredible. I mean, he's been a premier power hitter for like 20 years. With St. Louis and then the Angels for quite a while. And then he was with the Dodgers last year for a bit, 85 games, in fact, last year. Still putting up pretty decent numbers. He hit 17 home runs last year, which is obviously nowhere near his career high of 49. But yeah, he's been something else. He has won 3 MVP awards, has finished second 3 times, has won a few Gold Gloves, won Rookie of the Year, Silver Slugger multiple years. So if this is his farewell tour, then it'll be, fun to watch in St. Louis with his new young manager, and we'll see how it goes. I have a feeling I don't really love him, but I can't remember why. But whatever, he's a good player.
I mean, I like the move that brings Albert Pujols back to St. Louis. I mean, I can say it felt weird when he signed with the Angels in 2012, but I can understand why they moved on from it so long. But I think it was just kind of a waste of time in LA. They only had one playoff appearance with Pujols, so they never really kind of built a team around him. Trout, and then when you bring on Shohei Ohtani, so never really built a core around those three. So, I mean, I like it. Just for 1 year in St. Louis, he'll probably be situational hitting, pinch hitting. Won't be pinch running. I mean, he was taken out after his hit for a pinch runner, so he won't be doing any pinch running.
Oh, bummer.
You didn't bet on that, did you?
I did. I was hoping that he would be a pinch runner at least. The over-under was 1 time this year, and I bet the over. So I guess that's not true. Not going to happen. But the Cardinals, I touched on this just a brief second, but I looked at the box score from today, and it was 29-8, not 24-8. And the Cardinals put up 15 runs in the 8th inning. That is freaking nuts. I don't care what type of game it is or whatnot, to put up 15 runs in 1 inning is absolutely bonkers.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it is spring training, so I mean, what you're expecting?
That's like a softball score, though.
That was actually close to what my softball score was this last Monday. We batted around twice in the first inning. The first inning took 30 minutes to play.
That's nuts, dude. Because then you have that, where I'm at, we have like a 50-minute time limit for our game, and then but you have to complete at least 4 innings. I think I can't remember what it is.
We have an hour limit, and they play as many innings in the hour.
Okay. We had it where there was no hour limit. Well, they set it at an hour limit, but if you hadn't completed enough innings to either do the mercy rule, which I think was after 4 it had to be like 15 runs. After 5, it was like 10 runs, and after 6, it was like 5 runs or something like that. But like these games, like we're like the latest game in the day in the schedule was supposed to start at like 10 after 10 at night, and I'm like,
Ooh.
that's brutal. And then you have games like the 9 o'clock game would go sometimes until like 10:30, and you're just sitting there like, I should have been in bed like an hour and a half ago, and I'm just tired. And you still got to bat and run and field and everything, and it's at 42 or whatever I am now, it's exhausting.
I can agree to that 100%.
Well, that's fun.
That's fun.
So Albert Pujols re-signs with the St. Louis Cardinals. Look, man, I'm really not a Cardinals fan at all. I can respect the fact that they have the most amount of World Series in the National League, but that '06 team that beat the Mets, like with Molina, still makes me want to like strangle like a real bird, like a real cardinal bird. So not a big Cardinals supporter. I can probably get past it as those guys retire and move on, and we have like the new young blood of Cardinals with Goldschmidt and Arenado and whatnot leading the charge. But yeah, not the biggest of St. Louis Cardinals fans. We had our former network friend Adam Raymer is a big Cardinals guy, so he liked to complain a lot about how bad the Cardinals were last year.
He did. I think
he was saying that.
I think he was saying that the Cardinals were trash last year. They weren't going to make it, even on the 20-game run. They're saying that they're still trash, and we're going like, well, they're winning 20 games in a row. I mean, they're going to be in the playoffs, and even when they got in the playoffs, he still couldn't get behind. But I know he was joking aside. So, Em, if you're listening, all kidding aside, we love you, man. But don't hate the Cardinals too much, at least.
Yeah, they're fine. They're a solid baseball team and have a very rich tradition. So I have I don't feel bad for them. They're fine. They'll be fine. What other news out of spring training in this last week do we have? It looks like some final free agents were signed, and we still have a few key free agents hanging out there. What do you know about that, Adam?
So the big news came from Arizona, and actually the hometown team, Diamondbacks, have extended Ketel Marte to a 5-year deal, $76 million. So he'll be with the Diamondbacks for at least 5 more years. I'm going back to 2020 where Diamondbacks brought over a lot of key players and hoping that they would get a playoff run in 2020. Obviously, that didn't work out, so they started trading away a lot of key players. A lot of people thought Ketel Marte would have been traded last year when Arizona was just god-awful last year, over 100 losses. I mean, 35 games out of first place, or actually 55 games out of first place, if I remember correctly. They were just atrocious last year on the field. So this signing kind of says that they're going to kind of make Marte the key figure around the rebuild as they bring up some of their young players from the minor leagues. I mean, 2017 All-Star with Arizona, 2014 All-Star with Seattle. Not really kind of a award player, doesn't have that many awards in, but he is a great fit for that team. I think he fits well in the desert with that team. So I think it's a good sign. I hope that they can build around him and bring in a lot of core players and maybe try to jump in that very challenging National League West, which is going to be a really tough division with the Dodgers, the Giants, the Padres, and even the Rockies are going to probably make some noise with bringing in Chris Bryant to that division. So that's a long uphill climb for Arizona. So moving over to my White Sox, they claimed Adam Hazley, outfielder from Philadelphia. That kind of fills a right field gap that they've been missing. This goes back to a couple years ago. They brought in a couple of players that didn't really work out, so they've been missing a right fielder the last couple of years. A lot of people thought they'd be going after some of the key players in right field, Chris Bryant. They were trying. A lot of people thought they'd make a play for. So he'll fill in for right field with the White Sox if he makes the opening roster, if he goes in the opening day roster. And then, Chris, the last thing is Michael Conforto has yet to sign with the team. He is like your last, I will say, big free agent that's still available. Do you have a thought on why he hasn't signed or why no team has gone after him? I know you have some thoughts.
Why he hasn't signed is I think Scott Boras is asking for too much money. They overplayed his market with the Mets. Mets, I think, offered a arbitration salary or whatever, or a buyout or whatever the hell the contract term is for like $19 million last year, and he didn't take it, thinking that he would get a big deal elsewhere, and has yet to receive that. There's plenty of Mets fans that think he still might end up back in New York, but at this point, there isn't a lot of room for him in that lineup. I mean, they signed Mark Canha, they signed Marte, and they have Nimmo, and then that's kind of the starting outfield in any way, shape, or form. So if they were to sign Conforto, that means moving one of those guys around or out, and I don't think he wants to sign as a second fiddle or anything. So his best bet would be to go to a worse team or worse situation, like, and try to be the starting right fielder there, because he does have a 2.9 wins above replacement rating from last year. He's still a very solid player. He has a good arm. He's a decent fielder. He can hit for power. He has struggled going gap to gap. When he does go gap to gap, he's a much better hitter than when he's just trying to pull the ball all the time. So I think, he's 29 years old. He was looking for that big contract, didn't get it. My guess is he signs a 1-year deal with potentially a contender somewhere that's looking for a fringe starting right fielder. He's a starting caliber right fielder, but the younger, or the teams that are not as good, in my opinion, are going to want to be young, have younger, less expensive players in their lineup to try to improve their skills, rather than have a Conforto at anywhere from $15 to $22 million a year. I mean, shit, dude. Chris Bryant only got 26, and Conforto thinks he's going to be getting somewhere close to that. I mean, I think Scott Boras, once again, is as high as a kite and isn't gonna get his client what they thought he would get. So it's a good question. I mean, he really is the guy that's still out there. As far as hitters go, Mitch Moreland's still a designated hitter. He's still out there. Brian Goodwin, Mark Payton, these guys are all above a 0 WAR. Brett Gardner's still out there, but he's 38 years old. Pete Kozma, I mean, these guys are all completely useless, honestly. I mean, they're not. Starlin Castro, he's still out there. Anyway,
Castro's still out there.
I mean, he's okay. I mean, he's not great. He's 32 years old, and he doesn't even have a one win above replacement type player. So he's just not that good. I mean, Conforto's, 2.9 solid. That's a solid WAR number, considering, guys like Mark Canha had a 4.3, Marte had a 6.7. Castellanos, who signed fairly recently, only a week ago with Philadelphia, had a 4.5. So, I mean, there is still hope for Conforto to sign somewhere, but I don't know. I don't. What do you think is the holdup there? Do you think, or who do you think might be looking for Conforto? Man, the Rockies would be an awesome place for him to come and smash baseballs.
I was actually just thinking Colorado, because I was listening to the White Sox Talk podcast on the way home, and they're saying, why isn't Rick Hahn going after Michael or Conforto as a right fielder? Well, the White Sox have Adam Engel. They have a lot of rookies in the pipeline. They have Cespedes in there. They have Oscar Cespedes in there. So they got a lot of young players. You have Andrew Vaughn, who could play right field. I mean, he's out with an injury right now. So I've heard the White Sox, but I like the Rockies. I actually do like Colorado for him just because that is a good hitter's park. I mean, I think he would do well in Coors Field playing right field full time, especially with that team, that young team. I mean, he would be just one of like a good handful of superstars besides Bryant on that team. So I think he would fit in well in Colorado. But I'm going to go back to what you said. I think Boras is kind of overhyping him a little and asking for a little too much. I mean, he's still a fairly young player, which is just mind-boggling that he hasn't signed anywhere as of right now. I think the fact that he's gone almost the entire spring training and hasn't signed, you have to ask, is he staying in shape? Is he working out? Is he getting his reps in the cages? I mean, is he doing what he needs to do to stay in playing shape so that way if he does sign, he can just jump right in a minor league camp for a while or be at the spring training facility for about a week and a half before he makes it back up to the big. So there's a lot of X factors that go into about how ready is he for opening day or beyond.
I don't think he's the type of guy that wouldn't be ready. I think he works hard. So just pulled up an article about the top 8 landing spots for Michael Conforto, written by Brandon Scott of BleacherReport.com, and this is about a month old, 6 weeks old. But he lists the Milwaukee Brewers, the Washington Nationals, the Philadelphia Phillies, and I think this is before they signed Castellanos, so that is kind of dead. He ranks the Athletics, who I don't like. They don't spend money, so I don't see that happening. The Rangers is actually a pretty interesting landing spot, considering they've dropped some money recently with Corey Seager and whoever that's who'd they sign as second?
Simeon? Yeah,
Simeon. Yeah. Atlanta is the next landing spot, which with Jock Peterson and Rosario and Soler all gone, and Freeman, that's not a bad landing spot. Atlanta's got a short right field porch, if I remember correctly. The Marlins, and then the Cleveland Guardians, which they have a bunch of former Mets over there in Cleveland from the Lindor trade, so I don't think that that's a bad landing spot either. That is the number 1 spot per this article, again by a Mr. Brandon Scott on Bleacher Report, written February 17th. So very interesting landing spots for Conforto. I don't want to see him in the National League East, considering they dropped 3 fucking teams out of the 8 in that article. Texas. Go to Texas. That sounds like a great place for you, Michael, because I know you're listening and you want to go. And you want to make Mets fans happy because that's your concern.
There you go. Go to Texas. So that kind of wraps up our free agency and player movement. The last thing I wanted to say, Chris, Camden Yards is making a cosmetic change out in left field. They're pushing the left field wall back about 26.5 feet and making it about 6 feet higher. So they're kind of playing more towards the pitching at Camden Yards. What do you think of that, about stadiums redesigning or moving outfield walls to make it more, I don't want to say pitcher friendly, but be a little more defensive for the home team, or just any team? I'm not going to say it's a home field advantage.
I mean, it's not a home field advantage because you play 82 games there, right? And your 81 games there, and your hitters still have to hit there too. So then you have to kind of design your team to be more of a doubles team or singles or high on base percentage, and not really try to hit the ball out of the ballpark so much. I remember when Citi Field was first designed, it was an absolute pitcher's park because the walls were so deep and tall that people just weren't hitting it out, and they've since adjusted a little bit. And I think having a ballpark that that serves both is probably the best mix. I mean, I don't like the cookie cutter kind of like you see behind me, just the round shaped ballpark. I miss the old jagged outfields and different things. And even though it was a horrible fucking idea, the hill in Houston was absolutely hilarious to watch people try to run up that hill and catch a ball.
Was it
So
Carlos Beltran? I think made a good play. I think it was with Houston running up or was it Jim Edmonds or someone made a play where he just ran up the hill, kind of caught behind him and rolled back and said, like, I got it. He's about 3/4 up the hill.
There's one I've seen a couple, like a guy made it like 4 or 5 feet up the hill and then just kind of like fell to his knees onto his left and caught the ball over his shoulder, and that was a pretty solid play. But more of my point is like, the different depths of outfields throughout the entire span of the outfield wall makes it more interesting as far as where pit hitters can take advantage. I do like, certain parks being suited for left-handed hitters. That's always fun with like the Yankees. And like you mentioned Camden Yards, you can hit it off the buildings in right field, and that's always fun to watch. I remember when Camden was first designed, when Ripken was getting towards the end of his career, and it was the Orioles were a pretty solid team. Eddie Murray and Palmeiro and those guys, and having those buildings. I think there's some sort of factory or some sort of like blue collar type work buildings out there in right field. So. I don't have a problem with them adjusting the left field fence to make it more pitcher friendly. I think baseball, more than other sports, is equalizing both sides of the ball field. Hitters for a long time were just raking. And now, people had talked about raising the mound or whatever. And now we've gone so far the other way with like the shift that hitters can't get on base, and pitching is kind of we're seeing a lot better pitchers, but at the same time we're not seeing pitchers that pitch 200 innings a year that strike out upwards of 300 batters. Like if you get a guy that's striking out 225, that's probably going to be the league leader this year, and that's just not as fun for me. But, it is today's game. Long relievers are becoming a lot more valuable. Specialty bullpen guys are becoming a lot more of a reality. So the game is becoming very chess matchup based, strategic. So I think these ballpark adjustments fit right in with that, along with, the shift and different types of hitters for your roster that fit your ballpark. If you're not building your roster to fit your ballpark, I think you're kind of doing it wrong, since you play half of your games there. And if you do play half your games there and win most of your games there, you're going to have home field advantage there, which means you're going to want a roster that fits that ballpark even more so. So yeah, Orioles, do you. Be you.
So I'll give you an interesting fact regarding stadiums. When Comiskey Park opened in 91, it was the last of the cookie cutter model stadiums that opened, because it wasn't a retro modern stadium that you saw with Camden Yards. That was the last cookie cutter stadium design to be built in North America. Camden Yards was the first retro modern design that was built, followed by Coors Field. So those two parks kind of kicked off this retro modern feel that you see with all the parks. I mean, I think Citi Field in Queens is absolutely gorgeous. The way they tied in Ebbets Field into the design, kind of playing with Jackie Robinson tributes in there. I love these crazy outfields. I mean, up Oakland, the Coliseum in Oakland, I think, even though it looks like a POS from the outside, and my family's been the same, and you say it's a POS on the inside, that field is just so unique just because of how much foul territory that has. You can pretty much hit a foul ball and have a 95% chance of it being caught for an out before it even reaches the stand. So I agree. Camden Yards, I think this is a great move. I love to see stadiums do these little retro designs, so I think it's good.
For sure, man. I think there's a lot of. I think you can do a lot with the stadium. You know, it's an experience. You know, it's not just a building. It's something that you go to and appreciate. Like the grounds are all very well kept. The skyline of your city is in the background. Um, you have nuances of each and every stadium. Like the Rockies just put in a rooftop bar a couple of years ago. That's really cool. You can buy a ticket for like $6, and you're just basically how I look at it. It's like you're going to a bar anyway and just paying a $6 cover charge, and there's a baseball game going on behind you, like a live baseball game, and
I'm down with that.
that's so cool, right? And then Petco, where they brought the old
Oh, Western Metal Company warehouse.
Western Metal. Yeah, I knew it was Western or something metal. I couldn't remember if it was
Yeah.
West or Western or whatever. So they brought that in. That was super cool. And these are all the places that I've been. One of my favorite places that I've been is Kaufman Park in Kansas City, and the waterfalls in the outfield are super awesome. So that was a cool experience for me. And I know that Target Field is something that folks are really love. Oh, and fucking Fenway, man. Fenway's just off the hook.
Oh,
So,
Fenway, I agree. Fenway's on the hook. They got a great center field bar where you can just watch. If you're there, you can watch a game from center field, and it's just definitely would love to go back there.
and then of course you have Tropicana with the Rays, like literally in the outside. Like I said, ballparks are super cool. They're an experience. It's probably why tickets are outrageous, and you can't, like, you used to be able to buy. I'm trying to think if it was because the three places that I've lived, as an adult are Arizona, San Diego, and Colorado. And in Arizona, I think you used to be able to buy dollar tickets to get in and sit in the center field bleachers. And then in San Diego, they were $5 to hang out in the, I think it was like standing room, but it was a super cool, like little, almost like fan experience bullpen type seating. Like you sat almost like in a bullpen. And then here in Colorado, they have what's called the Rock Pile, which is dead center field, and they're like $8. So yeah, absolute experience to go to the ballpark and see different things worked into the design and the architecture.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. Let's shift focuses real quick, Chris. We got some injuries that happened over the last week. I'm going to start, unfortunately, with the White Sox. They had two players go down with injuries. Andrew Vaughn, infield player, had a right hip injury. He is listed day-to-day. He sustained that, making a diving play in right field versus the Dodgers on Monday. Jake Berger, third baseman, has left ankle discomfort. He's also listed day-to-day. There are kind of some key injuries. They did play some key roles for the White Sox last year in their division run. So I think they'll be fine. It's nothing too serious, but I'm going to be like knocking on wood as we get closer to opening day. Stephen Piscotty of the Athletics has some left shoulder soreness. He was supposed to make his spring training debut on Monday versus the Angels. Nick Ahmed of the Diamondbacks is still dealing with right shoulder soreness. Was sidelined for the last 2 weeks of the 2021 season. Update today: he will miss opening day, so he will not be on the opening day lineup for Arizona. Manny Machado is dealing with some back tightness. He's only missed 15 games in 3 seasons with San Diego, so he's actually been fairly healthy in his time with San Diego. And then an update on Tatis Jr. He underwent surgery to address a fractured scalpel bone in his left wrist on March 16th. He is expected to return date is June. So he's going to be out for a couple months for San Diego. So that is a huge bet gone for San Diego to start the season. And then the last one is Ronald Acuna Jr. from the Braves. Is on track to rejoin the Braves lineup by the first week of May. He suffered a torn right ACL injury in July of last year, so he has been out since last season. So those are kind of your couple of injury updates that I've seen over the last week. Chris, out of those injuries, which one stands out as one that will probably end up hurting your team more going into this season?
Well, with the Padres already potentially being down Fernando Tatis with his wrist injury, I think Manny Machado definitely adds to that. It adds to those issues for the Padres, and in an absolutely disgusting National League West, I don't think the Padres can afford to be down two superstars that they are paying, $50, $60 million combined this year. So that's going to be a big one. Acuna Jr. is going to be probably the second biggest one. They also have the domestic abuse kid, Marcell Acuna?
Ozuna.
Ozuna. I knew Ozuna, Acuna Matata. And they also have Charlie Morton, who had some injuries towards the end of last year. With the comeback fracture in the World Series. So he might not miss any time, but he's dealing with that as well. Some other guys on the injury news is Lance McCullers from the Astros, still a little bit behind in his schedule. Jake DeGrom was obviously, in and out of the Mets rotation last year, but he has looked phenomenal this spring, so I think will be fine. Steven Strasburg, staying in that National League East, is going to miss time again, along with Sixto Sanchez from the Marlins, who could be back, but is also kind of a wait-and-see candidate. So is Max Muncy from the Dodgers. All of these impact players are, have some injury questions going into the season with the shortened spring training. We'll be waiting to see what happens with them. Who is the most affected team, in your opinion, Adam, by these injuries?
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say San Diego is probably the more affected team just because they're already going up against two heavy powerhouses in San Francisco and Los Angeles. So the fact that that they could potentially be without two key players at the start of the season is just huge. That's not the way you want to attack a division run, and especially in that division. The way the Dodgers are stacked this year, with the addition of Freddie Freeman to that lineup, the Giants, even though they lost a couple players, are still probably predicted to finish above San Diego in that division. So I'm saying San Diego, and I'm going to agree with you on everything you said, that the fact that you can be without two of your best hitters in that lineup going into this season is not the way you want to start out.
Definitely not. I think it's going to be interesting to see how that division shakes out. I thought the Giants were pretenders last year, but they just kept winning. So who am I to say? But losing Gausman, losing Bryant, I think are going to be big hits against that team. So we'll see how it shakes out. So today, the Major League Baseball. So Major League Baseball announced a new competition, which to me caused a little bit of confusion on Twitter. It's called Home Run Derby X. It's not replacing the Home Run Derby. This is a competition between a bunch of former players, essentially. Adam, you did some research on this and had a more distinct breakdown, right? What are the rules? Who are the teams? Who are the participants? What the hell is this all about?
All right, so Home Run Derby X is going to be a competition held throughout the year between the Red Sox, Yankees, Dodgers, and Cubs. They're going to compete in tournaments that are going to be played in London, Seoul, and Mexico City. It's kind of, if you remember MVP Baseball 2005, they had that little like hitting challenge where you had to hit within a certain distance, hit within a certain zone. It's pretty much taking what you play in a video game and putting it on the field. So the field is going to be shaped a little different. The length of the field is going to be between 280 and 320 to center field, 260 to 300 down the line. Size may flex to accommodate specific venues and local conditions. So depending on where you are, the field will be a little different. The batter's box will be marked with a rise stage. It'll be the pitcher's mound will be rise to the same height. Players will get a chance to swing at 25 baseballs and take 10 pitches, so they can potentially look at 35 pitches to hit for home runs. But there is a twist. There will be defense on this, so you will have defense in the outfield who can score points if they catch a ball. Obviously, the players will score points for any balls hit over the fence. Again, as much as I did some research on this today, the rules are still a little confusing. This was kind of, I'm not going to say rushed to be put out, but I think it caught, like you said, it caught a lot of fans off guard on when they teased this during the week. Like, what the hell do you think you're doing? What the hell's going on? What are you thinking?
This was their big announcement.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was not the Bullpen podcast. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We know that ruined your Wednesday evening, but
lies.
Exactly.
Lies.
So
everybody knows it was the Bullpen podcast. But yeah, these rules are different. You can score on both sides of the diamond. Let's see here. I put out a tweet about it earlier that broke down like how you score points with offense. You can touch or you can hit certain like zones. Or is it MLB that put out the little video, or where is that? Damn it. I have it somewhere. It's close.
I think Major League Baseball put out a video. I think you're right. They put out a video of like how you can score a point for a home run, a point for a catch. You get points for going on a hot streak. So
right. Okay. So here it is. So you have 4 teams of 4. You get 25 pitches, like Adam mentioned. Home runs get 1 point. Catches get 1 point. You can hit targets in the field and out of the field for extra points. You can go on hot streaks of up to 5 pitches where you get double your points for your scoring. But if the fielder catches it during that hot streak, they get double the points. So that's kind of fun. It's going to happen, like Adam said, in all of these international locations, that's kind of cool, trying to bring baseball. It's already an international sport, obviously, but so the participants, did you touch on the teams, Adam?
No, but I can touch on teams. So the Red Sox, so teams will consist of a MLB legend, a superstar, and a wild card. So for the Red Sox, you have Johnny Gomes as your MLB legend. Red Sox superstar will be Paige Halstead, and Levi Cook will be your wild card. For the Chicago Cubs, you have Gio Soto as your MLB legend, Alex Hugo as your superstar, Spencer Owen as your wild card. For the Los Angeles Dodgers, I'm actually excited about this one. Adrian Gonzalez as your MLB legend, Ashton Lansdale as your superstar, and Yoyang Kawhi. I'm probably botched that name, so I apologize about that one, as your superstar. And then the Yankees will have Nick Swisher as your MLB legend, Erica Plain Castilla as your superstar, Stefan Andreas will be your superstar in Mexico only, and then Daniel Coro will be your wild card, Erica Pincastro will be your superstar in all states but Mexico, and then Daniel Coro will be your wild card. So some good MLB legends will be going to bat for their teams. What do you think, Chris? Do you think these are good lineups for teams, or what's your opinion on this? I can already see your expression on this.
I'm just reading some of the fans' replies in.
Read about that. What do you got? What do you got?
So this guy, Talking Baseball, retweeted or tweeted out the lineups. And this gentleman from England commented, "No one here in the UK cares about this. Even the small amount of baseball fans over here think this looks terrible. And as for Legends, it's a titanic waste of money, and they won't be able to sell tickets. So we'll have to be a free event. I love baseball, but this, you clearly love baseball, guy." The legend of Nick Swisher is like that of a Bigfoot. People claim it exists, but they don't believe them. Imagine if the old black and white home run derby TV show featured Chuck Cottier from the 1960 Milwaukee Braves instead of Hank Aaron. It's kind of like that with this.
I remember watching videos of that on like MLB Network, like when I was up for swim practice in high school or in college, when like 3:00 in the morning, just watching an old home run derby.
Hank hit 40 home runs and won the show 6 times in 1960. Chuck hit 3 home runs all season. Brutal.
Oh man, these are classic.
Yeah, this I don't know what the baseball was thinking, because this ain't it, and I don't get it. So
I mean, I'm not sure what to think. I will reserve some future judgment until I see this in play. Whenever they kick this off, I will definitely tune in and watch to see what this entails and see if I can just put in MLB The Show and do this myself.
It's going to be an MLB The Show as well?
No, I mean, you never know. They could put this in MLB The Show this year or next year.
You're just throwing out words now, Adam? You're just like, oh, I just can't wait to put on MLB The Show and try this. Oh, they're going to do that? I don't know. Yeah, they could. They might.
Could. I mean,
who knows?
You never know. I mean, they could be sitting in San Diego studios going, taking notes for next year. MLB Home Run X. See if we can improve it. I mean, who knows?
The target practice thing is kind of cool. I mean, I don't think it's really target practice. Like, so there's a game called like Tap It Baseball or whatever. That's like an app on your phone, and it has something similar to this where you can hit like in certain zones of the outfield and try and hit targets for extra points. It's hard as fuck. So if these guys can hit targets, I mean, that's impressive. I mean, that's kind of like a skills challenge, right? But more for baseball. The fact that it's like came out today and they weren't clear if it was taking the place of the home run derby in the All-Star game, because that would have like people already assumed that and were having a meltdown about it. So they should have made that very much more clear. They should have talked about, in that little clip that I read off all the rules and stuff. They didn't tell us who the players were. They didn't tell us they didn't tell us shit. So I don't know what the hell that was all about, but you have a new game. It'll be okay. It'll be fun. It'll be whatever.
That is true. So we will see what this entails when it kicks off. We don't know when that date is yet, but make sure you tune into the Bullpen Pod for analysis and thoughts on Home Run Derby X.
Home Run Derby X.
I don't know why it sounds like golf, but who knows what it's going to be.
Who knows?
Exactly. And Chris, we're going to go on to our final topic for tonight. You remember last year Nike introduced the City Connect jerseys. They introduced those to Major League Baseball. The Red Sox, Marlins, White Sox, Cubs, Diamondbacks, Giants, and Dodgers all had a City Connect jersey for last season. They are returning that program for this year. We already had one of the 7 teams that will be coming in for 2022 unveil their jerseys. So this is a recap of last year. Boston went with a Boston Marathon yellow jersey. Kind of looks like a UCLA batting practice jersey, in my opinion.
It's mustard. It's like not, I don't know. It's the wrong yellow to me, but whatever. Onward.
Miami did it kind of play to their Cuban heritage with a red, white pinstripe jersey with Miami script on on the front. Actually, kind of one of my favorites and how they did that since they played to the Cuban Heritage in Miami. One of my all-time favorites, but again, I could be a little biased in this one. Chris may know a little more about that. Is the Southside White Sox jersey, the black jersey with white pinstripes, Southside in Gothic script in front, playing towards the south side of Chicago. The Cubs did a dark navy Wrigleyville jersey. Diamondbacks did a tan Serpenteas jersey, kind of playing towards the desert theme for the Diamondback Snake out in Arizona. The Giants did a fog themed jersey, theming with the Golden Gate Bridge. And the Dodgers did a Los Dodgers jersey, all blue jersey with black trim on the sleeves. So, Chris, before we move on to the 2022 versions, which one was your favorite out of the 2021 teams?
The Sox is by far the best one. I mean, it's so clean. The black with the white pinstripes and the white and gray sleeves. The South Side in like calligraphy is super, just super clean. So I mean, that one's by far and away the best one in my opinion. After that, I would probably say Miami, and then the interesting thing is like the Giants one almost looks like the Guardians G on their chest, which is kind of funny. I think the Wrigleyville one is kind of basic, looks like almost like a t-shirt. The Serpentines one for the Diamondbacks is okay. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, it's kind of cool that it has a number on the front. And then the Boston one, I just don't really care for it. It's just okay. But I would say my second favorite one is that Miami red with the white pinstripes. It almost looks a little bit like a soccer jersey, but and then the Dodgers is fine. It's very close to their regular jersey, so I don't know how much I care about that. Who are the teams that are going to have a 2022 jersey, Adam?
All right, so teams that are going for 2022, you'll have the Colorado Rockies, Houston Astros, Kansas City Royals, Los Angeles Angels, Milwaukee Brewers, San Diego Padres, and Washington Nationals as your next 7 teams who will be with the City Connect. And earlier this week, the Washington Nationals unveiled their cherry blossom themed city jersey. It is a gray granite jersey with cherry blossom print on it, abbreviated Washington on the front. You got pink trim with black and kind of like white granite font. Cherry blossoms on the front. Honestly, it's a really sharp jersey in my opinion because it plays towards the cherry blossoms in Washington D.C. If you haven't been there for cherry blossoms, I highly recommend it. It's absolutely gorgeous. I was up there in 2012 at the beginning of cherry blossom season, and we saw them bloom. When I went to Japan a couple years ago, we saw the mist of cherry blossoms. It's absolutely beautiful, and this is actually one of my favorite jerseys. I would actually rank this close to with the Sox jersey from last year, with just how it looks and everything. I think it's very clean. I think it's very unique. I mean, you don't see a lot of teams wear pink and granite in the same uniform, especially pink in a Major League Baseball uniform, with the exception of Mother's Day. Chris, what are your thoughts on it?
It's cute. No, it's nice. The granite coloring with the cherry blossom stenciling throughout the jersey. It almost looks like a tie, like a really nice tie. And then it has, a cherry blossom tree on the left breast, and then the WSH in like a block, white with pink shadowing on the front, and it looks really clean. And I paying homage to the cherry blossoms in Washington are cool. There's a lot of cherry blossoms on the hat, which is maybe overkill, but that's no big deal. So the Nationals released theirs on the 9th. The Astros come out, or no, this is when they'll wear them. So the Astros will wear theirs on April 20th. The Nationals will wear theirs on April 9th. The Royals will wear theirs on the 30th, the Rockies April 30th, the Rockies on June 4th, the Angels on June 11th, the Brewers on June 24th, the Pods on July 8th. So that Rockies one, damn it. I was hoping the Rockies one would be when the Mets are here, but I think the Mets are here like late May. So it's really close, but not quite there. But that's all right.
I know the Rockies did a tease with the Bob Ross paying, saying mountains are nice. We like mountains. So I think you can see the Rockies will do a kind of a mountain theme.
Shocker.
With Shocker. Yeah, they're playing on the Rocky Mountains. So shocked that they're doing something like that. Overall, I like the City Connect jerseys. I was a little skeptical of when they were going to be doing this last year. Obviously, Boston kicked off last year, but I think as teams unveil these jerseys, they're going to get more creative. And I like how this program is being run by Nike, how they're doing more of a connection with the cities. Obviously, the NBA does their city jersey where they kind of city edition jersey. Some are a little far-fetched, but I think Major League Baseball is doing a little more better job with connecting the jersey to the city and actually kind of making that city tie within their organization.
There's so many iconic landmarks that in Boston. I mean, the marathon's cool and everything, but there are so many other iconic Boston things that you could have tied in. The Golden Gate Bridge on the Giants one, it's cool. But it's only like on the sleeves. I would have liked to have seen it like maybe across like the right side of the stomach, or like just like, from the back kind of or wrapping around the back to the front. That would have been kind of cool. The Diamondbacks, like there's no, I don't know. There's not much in Arizona that you could have tied it to. Cactuses, tumbleweeds, desert, so there's really not a lot you could have done there. Los Angeles, man, there's really not. I mean, Los Dodgers, you're just tying to the, the Spanish heritage or the Mexican heritage. And that is actually what brought the Dodgers to life is the Mexican fan base being so strong with Fernando Valenzuela in the early 80s really launched that team into, being the heart of Los Angeles. It's one of the only teams I know Dodgers fans are kind of whatever sometimes and don't show up till the third inning and they leave in the seventh, but they do have some great diehard fans. So the Los Dodgers, I think, really ties in. Wrigleyville, their City Connect jersey really ties to the state colors and things like that, but they don't have the stars unless I just can't see them. But
they do.
They do.
They do. One thing I wish that the Cubs would have done is that if they're doing Wrigleyville, they could have tied in the ivy and the brick of actually Wrigley Field, because that is iconic with the north side of Chicago. Wrigley Field is an iconic structure in the north side of Chicago. So if they were to tie the brick and the ivy in that jersey kind of maybe on the sleeves or along the stomach and the back, just kind of tie that in, I thought it would be a little better. But yeah, it plays to the city of Chicago flag colors. So, I mean, it's not a terrible jersey. None of these are jerseys that are just like, oh God, that's awful. I mean, they all have a tie to the city. I mean, I see the look you're giving me. I know where you're going.
That Boston one's terrible, man. It's terrible. That yellow's just weak. I just don't like it. I don't know. I'm sorry if you're a Red Sox fan and you love the Boston Marathon, and obviously the bombing is terrible and whatnot, but I just don't love the jersey. Just don't love the jersey. I can not like that. That's fine. I'm very interested to see what other cities do to tie in their, City Connects, like the Brewers. I'm super curious to see what they do. The Pods will be awesome to see how they do that, since I lived there for a while and have been to multiple Padres games.
I'm interested to see what the Angels do. See if they tie their jersey into Los Angeles or if they tie it in with Anaheim, because they technically play in Anaheim, even though they are branded as the Los Angeles Angels. They play in the city of Anaheim, so it'd be interesting to see with that. I can see Houston doing kind of like a space NASA theme, kind of tying in NASA with their jersey, so that would be interesting to see. And for San Diego, I could definitely see them doing a Navy themed jersey.
That's a great call. I think all of those are excellent possibilities. Yeah, Houston, especially since they had the Astrodome and everything, and that would be an interesting. That I think the Angels go with the Disney theme.
I can see them doing a Disney theme that they were to play back to those 90 jerseys, those with the angel wings in the script from the Angels in the Outfield or Angels in the Outfield days. So it'll be interesting to see which teams come out next and what they do.
If the Brewers don't have some form of beer on there, I'll be disappointed.
I will be too. I will be disappointed.
Well, with that note, everyone, it has been a lot of fun talking baseball with you tonight. We are 1 week away. We are really excited. Had my fantasy baseball draft last night. The only Met I took was Pete Alonso, so that's I think that's solid. I did take former Met Ahmed Rosario in the late round, so I'm kind of excited about that. But if you want to talk more baseball, want to talk fantasy baseball with myself or Adam, hit us up on our Twitter pages. Let us know what you think of the episodes. Let us know what you want to talk about, and let us know who your favorite players and teams are. And let's shoot the shit and talk baseball, because it's always fun to talk hardball. So it's been fun. It's been real. Adam, anything else for the folks?
We are 1 week away. We will be back next week for the opening day eve edition of the Bullpen Podcast. So if you just want to come by and talk baseball on the night before opening day, if you can't sleep, tune into the podcast. We'll definitely talk some baseball.
All righty, folks. Have a great night.
Night, everybody.